Okay guys, I just finished the Callisto Protocol and man, I had fun in this game. So this is my first real review, and to tell you the truth, reviewing is difficult but fun. But I feel confident that I will probably fuck this up somehow, and after I fuck up a few times, I will probably fuck up some more, and then I might forget to press record and waste all my time sitting here talking to myself like a madman, while not realizing until the very end that I forgot to press record. Let's get on with the review. But first, I will do a short introduction on how it all started for people who have not played the game. For those who don't want the story spoiled, skip to this timestamp below. In 2320, the protagonist Jacob Lee and his partner Max Barrow were transporting cargo to Black Iron Prison, which is located on Callisto, the 8th moon of Jupiter. They are delivering the cargo to a company called the UGC, which is short for United Jupiter Company. While waiting for clearance to dock Callisto for their last shipment, Max is watching a news report about an outbreak on Europa, which is another moon of Jupiter. Max is concerned about this outbreak and thinks that this shipment is unusual compared to other jobs they've taken before. Jacob responds by saying, after this, we're never going to have to work another day in our lives, and that he wants some gratitude. Max is getting a yellow light indicating that something is wrong in the cargo hold and wants Jacob to check it out. During the investigation in the cargo area, a terrorist group called the Outer Ways boarded their ship in an attempt to steal the undelivered cargo. Jacob is almost caught but manages to lock them in the cargo hold, opening the airlock to stop them, which results in Danny Nakamura, the leader of the Outer Ways, shooting through the cargo door window, forcing the ship to crash on Callisto. After the crash, Max unfortunately dies, leaving Jacob and Danny as the only survivors. We are then greeted by Captain Leon Ferris and 2 security units, which end in Jacob and Danny's imprisonment in Black Iron Prison. Jacob is forced to undergo a procedure where they place something called a core device in his neck to keep track of prisoners. He then wakes up in his cell block, and this is where our story begins. The first thing I gotta say is that the graphics are amazing in the Callisto Protocol. The game looks fantastic. The visuals are insanely detailed. In my belief, this is the most realistic graphics we can find in a game today. Everything from the characters' faces to the gore and decay of the environment is just perfect for this kind of game. I don't think I can find anything negative to say about the visuals in this game. And I really think that this could be one of the best graphical games out there today. I think I said this in every episode in my playthrough. I love the way the Callisto Protocol looks, and you can see that the developers really cared about the visuals in the game. If you watched my playthrough of the Callisto Protocol, you also know that it is gory as hell. I mean, we have body parts that gets dismembered, eyes are getting gouged out, and disfiguration of Jacob's face, just as it's supposed to be. It really took me back in time when I was a scared little boy playing Dead Space for the first time, almost crying while getting chased down dark corridors by monsters that just wanted to tear me limb from limb. I really enjoyed the nostalgia, so much that I needed to do a second playthrough by myself just to take it all in. I also must praise the sound team because the sound in this game is just great. As I said before, I did a second playthrough of this game and I can't count how many times I just stopped to listen to all the ambient sounds going on in this prison. It is mind-blowing how realistic it is. Think about that when you crawl through a vent or listening to an engine hum. Even the screams sound legit. Just stop and listen sometimes. It really is amazing. They did a great job and should be proud. One thing that I enjoyed about the game was the atmosphere. It really makes you feel immersed into the world, and if you explore enough, you will find audio logs that give you intel of what happened. Not everything gets answered, but I think that leaving some information out is not a bad thing. Gets you to start thinking on your own. but you can feel that they put a lot of thought into this world, and that makes it even more immersive. And the tension building is something that I especially liked in this game. Sometimes throughout the game, you will see something getting pulled into a direction in front of you, which will build up tension and make you ready for a fight. But the coolest thing, in my opinion, is that some of those times when the game tenses up and you get ready, nothing actually happens, which puts you in a weird state of vulnerability and make you feel uneasy about how you should approach the next section. I had fun with the gameplay mechanics, but it is very simple and you will feel that it is a bit repetitive. But I honestly must say that I never felt this, but I can understand that some people might feel this way. The game is mostly a linear path straight through, but sometimes there are paths that lead you in a different direction, which I enjoyed a lot. It is nice to explore and see what you find at the end of the paths that you take. And I also enjoy that there is always an easy way to get back to the main pathway. The combat is very basic. You trade hits with the enemy. Basically, you dodge left or right by holding A or D. The character will automatically dodge left or right, but you can also time it so you get a perfect dodge, which slow time for a few seconds and give you time to do a heavy hit. Apparently, this is a way to do it if you want to conserve ammo, but since ammo is easy to find and you can even print it out using a reforged station, which I will get into in a little bit, it's not worth doing this, so that mechanics fall a little flat. The reforged station is where you print and upgrade your weapons using credits that you find scattered around the environment. These stations can be found in different locations throughout the game. It feels almost a little like Resident Evil when it comes to inventory. There will be many times that you will have to choose between dropping a health injector or a sellable item so that you can upgrade your equipment, since you only have a few inventory slots. I enjoyed the combat system for what it was. There is room for improvement, but I think the biggest flaw of the combat system is the variety of enemies. There aren't many enemies in this game, and therefore you will face a lot of the same enemies, which means that you will use the same tactics for every enemy, which gets repetitive after a while. But other than that, I liked the combat. It kind of felt like The Last of Us. No, I'm not comparing the Callisto Protocol to The Last of Us, but I did feel some similarities to the combat. I also noticed that mutants in this game are somewhat gentlemen. Many times when I faced multiple enemies, they kind of waited for me to beat the living crap out of their fellow mutant brothers before attacking me if I kept them in front of me. Not every time, but most of the time. The best way to come out of this alive is to have them all in front of you. Otherwise, they will attack you from behind sometimes, which can throw you off a bit. I kinda liked how they did this, since facing an enemy while another is behind made you feel vulnerable, and it kinda felt realistic. The story is nothing special. It's not bad, but it's not great either. The story is full of cliches that interrupt some interesting moments. The game tries to split the protagonist from the NPC, but every time it feels predictable. And I also wish that we had more time with the different characters in the game. I wanted to get to know them better, but I can understand that in a situation like this, time is not always something that you have. But I feel like they could have spent more time and interactions with the different characters during the time when we were in a safe place. This story is nothing new, and as I said before, it has moments where it really gets interesting, but then another cliche comes and destroys that interest, which is a little sad, but overall I didn't dislike the story, I just heard it before. The performance issue with AAA games needs to stop. I started like many others playing this game at release date. Was it playable? Nope. For me, it started with the frame rate dropping to the pits of hell, which resulted in me checking online for anything that could help the performance so I could play the game. Luckily, I did find out how I could tweak the settings so the stuttering became less frequent. After that, I was able to play the game with almost no problem. But it doesn't change the fact that most people couldn't even start the game. You could feel that this game was rushed, and I just don't understand why this is a new standard when it comes to AAA game releases. I think that people much rather have a release date postponed than have a stuttering mess at release date. That I can almost guarantee. At least the developers answered the call for help and fixed the PC version over the weekend after the 2nd of December, which was the release date for the Callisto Protocol. I don't know how stable, or should I say unstable, the PlayStation or Xbox version was, but feel free to enlighten me in the comments section down below. I'm going to give this game a 7 out of 10. Overall, I enjoyed the game and it didn't fail to keep me invested in the world. I don't know why people are giving this game such bad reviews. The developers promised an atmospheric, detailed action horror game, and in my opinion, they delivered on that promise. Sure, they could have worked more on the gameplay and the variety of enemies, but I'm pretty happy that I got this game. Would I recommend this game? Yes, I would. I think people should experience this game at least once, and if you think that it's too pricey, wait for it to go on sale. But that is it for this review, guys, and I really hope that you enjoyed this. As I said, this is my first one. I really enjoyed making this review, and it was fun looking up all the information and all that stuff. What did you feel about the Callisto Protocol? And what verdict would you give it? Comments down below. But thank you guys for watching. If you want, you can leave a like and subscribe. That would really help me out, and I would really appreciate it. Other than that, have a good day, night, evening, whatever time it is at your place, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.